Hi, and welcome to Dr. Bev's An Appointment with the Doctor. Today I'm joined by absolute living legend, the wonderful Miss Hazell Dean.
Woo!
Yay! Rapturous applause all around. Hazell, you and I have known each other for a few years now,
We have, darling.
but the first time I think I ever saw you, I was
Ooh.
probably 13 years old and
Oh my
singing into my
goodness.
hairbrush, watching Top of the Pops.
Singing into your brush.
Um,
Brilliant.
Absolutely the soundtrack to my early teens.
Would that be Searching or?
It might well have been Searching, yes.
Yeah.
I think that was my
Okay.
first one. Looking for
Yeah.
love, still am. Still am. After all these years, I'm still looking.
Oh, you'll find it.
It's got to find me, I think.
Okay.
So I've known you for quite a few years. We've done quite a lot of Pride events together and other
Yeah.
events.
Absolutely.
But I've been doing a little bit of reading up on you.
Okay.
As a professional person would. And I found out something which I didn't know. So I gather that you wrote and produced songs for a little pop group called Bad Boys Inc.
Oh yes, with Ian Levine.
Yes.
Yeah, that was back in the 90s.
I wasn't aware of that. And Matthew Pateman, who was the lead singer of Bad Boys Inc., is a very good friend of mine.
Oh, is he really?
Yes.
Oh, funny.
And he's a
singing
lovely guy and one of the most handsome men I've ever met in my life.
Oh.
But isn't it weird when worlds collide? And I didn't realise.
Yeah, no, that was good. To be honest with you, at that point in time, I think it was around the mid-90s, probably about 95, 96, I'm not quite sure, but I was doing loads of writing with Ian Levine. He would sort of send me over backing tracks and I would write a melody and lyrics over the top. I did loads of stuff for him. Some of the old Tamla Motown stars like Marvin Gaye, not Marvin Gaye, I can't remember his name, but various different old, you see what I mean about names? The age. Anyway, but yeah, I did loads of stuff with him. But yes, Bad Boys Inc. Was one of the projects that we did. And I have to say, at the time, they were, the record company put masses of money into them, but it just didn't happen.
No, unfortunate, because they're a nice group of boys. They could sing.
Yeah.
And I know Matthew is still very much in the entertainment business, which is...
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yes.
One of my favourite songs that I wrote for that band, it was called I Would Give You Forever. So it's a great track on there. It was one of my favourite songs that I wrote with Ian.
I'll have to look you up on Facebook.
As you can hear is my dog chewing on a ball, but he's just about to be thrown out.
I'm a very, very much dog-friendly person. You should meet my ex.
Yes, I know. He makes... So it was a good project.
Great. Well, see, learned something about you I didn't know, which I found fascinating. So I know that you released Searching, and then you re-released it a year or so later. I believe your first big one was Evergreen.
Well, originally, yeah, Evergreen went out as a single before Searching. But Evergreen, it got a fair amount of radio play, but it never quite made it into the top 40, unfortunately. But to be honest with you, Evergreen had been a huge club track anyway, even before it was released as a single, along with Searching. Searching was the same. I recorded both the tracks. It was from the same session, in actual fact. Yeah. And we recorded them in 1983. Because in 1983, so I was out in all the gay clubs doing a PAing Searching, because I wanted to get my face out there that this is the person that sang this song. I didn't want it to be a faceless record, as so many of those things were in those days, and they sometimes get people to front the song, and I didn't want anybody else to do that with that track, because I loved it so much and I knew it was special at the time. I mean, I was even asked by the record company if I would front something else. Really? Someone else's voice, and I just said, no, I'm not doing that, and I don't want anyone to do it on this record. I was everywhere with that track, and of course I came to Wales many times to PA that thing for first year in 1983. But in that time, it became a huge... Searching was number one in the Billboard dance chart for 5 weeks in America. So even at that stage, I was going over to America to promote Searching, and to get my name about and my face about, so that everyone knew I was the girl that was fronting this record. So
picked up on Evergreen because obviously it's a cover of the Barbara Streisand song from
yeah, a huge Barbara Streisand fan.
And that was one of my questions. Is she somebody who you find as an inspiration? And are there any other muses?
Yeah, I love Streisand. I think she's so unique. She's got a fabulous voice. She's a great actress, and you know, she's just so multi-talented in many ways. But yeah, I love her voice and great song. I mean, Evergreen is one of my all-time favourite songs. Always has been, always will be.
It's literally evergreen.
Yeah, it certainly is.
It's one of my favourite songs to sing as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lovely song.
I sang as a drag queen.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
So obviously we talked about then searching. There's Who's Leaving Who, Whatever I Do. I gather that you heard Whatever I Do and went, not quite, and had them change the words for you.
Well, of course, back in those days, I'd had the hit with Searching with Ian Anthony Stevens, who produced it, long before Stock Aitken and Waterman, which I recorded in 1983 and became a hit in 84. It was at number 6 in the charts. And I bumped into Pete Waterman. I had actually worked with Pete Waterman on a project prior to that. But I bumped into him again at Proto Records in 84. Searching was at number 6 in the charts. Ian Anthony Stevens wasn't around. He'd gone off to America to work with Paul Parker. And I didn't want just a one hit. I didn't want to be a one-hit wonder. So it's funny how things happen, how worlds collide. And he was doing a project at Proto Records, and it's the first thing he ever worked on with Mike and Matt. And we just happened to bump into each other and say, "Oh, nice to see you again." Blah 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 blah. And he said, "Well, what are you doing, kid?" As he always calls everybody. And I said, "Well, it's a good situation at the moment. I'm number 6 in the charts. I don't have a follow-up." So of course, this little brain is working, and he says, "Oh, you should come down to the Marquee studio and meet these 2 guys I'm working with," which was Mike and Matt. So a couple of days later, I mean, it happened so quickly. A couple of days later, I went down to the Marquee studio. I met Mike and Matt, and they were working on a track for Divine, "Think You're a Man." Well,
I love that.
I know. His voice wasn't on it at the time. Well, there was a voice on it, but it wasn't the finished voice that you hear now.
Very distinctive voice as well, Divine.
Yeah. He's so unique, isn't he? Or he was. But I heard this backing track, and I thought, and of course, it sounded fantastic. I mean, the backing track to that was just superb, and I heard it, and I wanted it. And so, at that point in time, I was in more because I was number 6 in the charts. So I was kind of a bit more powerful then, if you like. So I could have kind of, whatever you want, Hazel. So I have to say, they worked really fast. They sent me this song over. At that point in time, it was the verse of Whatever I Do that we have now, but there was a different chorus, and someone else was singing it. And it was called "Dance Your Love Away." And I think it was a track that they had used on various things. But once I heard the chorus, I said, nah, that chorus, it just didn't go anywhere. It was quite flat. So no, the chorus isn't right. Can you do something about it? So yep, they took the track away again. 4 days later, it's back, demoed by a female vocalist, and of course it was the chorus of Whatever I Do. I said, yep, that's fantastic. And the great thing about those days, being on an independent, you could turn records over really quickly. So, because obviously Searching was I think it was at number 6 for a couple of weeks, but it was starting to come down the chart. But we got Whatever I Do done so quickly, and then it was out there. So, and it was their first top 5 single.
It was for Stock Aitken.
Yeah, it was their first top. They'd had the Divine track, but I think that got to about number 18. But because he was banned from Top of the Pops and various other Radio 1 and whatever wouldn't play it, so I gave them their first top 5 single.
Wonderful. And then you also went on to Who's Leaving Who, Turn It Into Love, which was later covered by Kylie.
Yes.
And I know that Turn It Into Love is become a bit of an anthem for you as well in terms of lyrics, because it's kind of your catchphrase now, isn't it?
It is, yeah. When I do my prides and things, all sorts of things really. I use it. It is my let's turn it into love. Let's not hate. Let's turn it into love.
Which I will, and hopefully we'll come back to that in a few minutes. Now, my favourite single of yours was "Love Pains."
Yes, I know.
I adore that one. It's my absolute favourite.
Yeah, it's a fantastic song. I mean, I do love that song.
Also, if you don't mind, I'd like to chat a little bit about Eurovision, because you entered a Song for Europe a couple of times, and you sang alongside Sam Janus, as she was known at the time, on the itself, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, and I also did backing vocals for Sweet Dreams back in 1983 as well.
Really?
Yeah, with a friend of mine called. Sorry.
You've had quite a relationship with Eurovision.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I mean, the first time I did it, and you can see these on YouTube. The first time I did it was in 1976, and it was that was the year that Brotherhood of Man won it with "Save Your Kisses for Me," and Song for Europe. But
"Save All Your Kisses for Me" was the first single I ever bought.
Was it?
I was only about 5 or 6, but that was my first single. I think that's Lena Zavaroni.
Brilliant. I love it. Yeah, I mean, back in those days, of course, it was just grander back in those days. I mean, I sang this live at the Royal Albert Hall. My mum and dad were there. It was fantastic. Live, huge, great big orchestra. And I sang a great big ballad. As I say, you can see it on YouTube. It was written by Paul Curtis, and it was called "Couldn't Live Without You for a Day." It's a big ballad, fabulous song.
I shall have to look out for that one. I've missed that one.
Do, yeah.
So you've recently been nominated, because I know you mentioned Pride, and we'll talk about your Pride events in a moment, if that's all right. But you've recently been nominated not for one, but for 2 ITV National Diversity Awards. One for Lifetime Achievement and one for Positive Role Model. How much of an honour is that?
Well, that's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I found out about that sort of earlier on this year, about February time, I think. And well, I don't know, it's fantastic. So we shall see. But yeah, I'm so honoured. It's lovely. Last year, I got at Chester Pride. I got the Gay Icon Award. They presented it to me at Chester Pride. And yeah, well, I mean, I've been doing prides now for 36 years, every year.
That was my next section. You've been appearing. You appeared at London Pride in 1984, and have pretty much worked the Pride.
I've done Pride every year ever since.
Yes.
There's not a year gone by that I haven't done a Pride.
Until this year.
Until this year, and that's all over the world, by the way. That's not just in the UK. That's in America, Sweden, South Africa, Germany. Paris, so you know it's all over really.
Why do you think performing at Pride events and in turn the LGBTQ plus community have welcomed you so much?
Because I think they believe me. They, you know, I like as you say, I have turned it. I say let's turn it. Let's not hate. I think they love me all because they love my voice, and that I'm there all the time, and I like to encourage people and I think that's what it is. I think they believe in me. I'm there every year. I mean, do you know anyone else that's done 36 years of Pride?
Not anybody who would admit to it, perhaps. Certainly not, because I believe you're only 39, which is wonderful.
Of course. I was a child star.
I've stood alongside you on stage at many Pride events around the UK, and I know that you really do turn it into love. There's a special warmth and love that you have when you walk on that stage, and
there is, and I'm feeling it now. It makes me go quite tingly because I do feel that. I feel love.
Because you're a patron now for Pride in Surrey, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, Pride in Surrey. I've got my T-shirt on. My Pride. Yeah, they made me a patron earlier on this year, and I went to an event in where was it? It was Woking. Yeah, Woking, and I did a speech, which I was very nervous about, but I did really well. And yeah, no, it was brilliant. I'm so honoured, and I love it. And you know what? They're lovely guys. They're so sweet. They're so lovely, and just a nice team of people. So yeah, it's a shame, you know. I mean, with the coronavirus, obviously, I can't sort of. I was obviously going to do the Pride, and we were going to be in the march and everything. So there's various things I can't do, but you know, hey ho, but I'm very happy to.
Pain on that one. I do feel your pain.
Yeah.
You've always been a gay icon.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up through the 90s and noughties, your name, you walk into any gay bar, your music would be playing then and still is. You've been an absolute treasure, and I can see why people revere you in such a way. What I like is that not only have you fought alongside us for gay rights, you're also championing the rights for the trans community.
Mm-hmm.
Your own merchandise, the Hazell Dean 2020 t-shirts, I know that you're donating profits from that to Mermaids UK. Why that's important to you?
Because I think it must be so tough for those, for those people, how they must feel inside. I think everybody has a right to be what they want to be. Mm-hmm. And if, I think it's really tough, and it's making me feel quite sad actually now. I just think they have a right to be. They have the right to be that person. How hard must it be to feel inside that you're not the person that you are on the outside? I can't begin to imagine what that's like. And I think of those things and the people I meet as I go along, gorgeous, lovely people. And that's how I feel about it.
Well, I think that's a wonderful, wonderful thing that you're doing and continue to do. And I'd like to say thank you on behalf of the entire community for what you're doing with that and continue to do. I think it's amazing. Briefly as well, I know that you also support the moonwalk in London and you're part of the Jane Bows. And I know there's a personal reason for that because you lost a friend.
We lost a very good friend. One of the mums here in Molesey, who was the sort of life and soul of every party. She was a lovely, lovely person. And she left behind a little girl and her mum, and it was just so sad. And when her funeral was unbelievable. I think every mother in Molesey was at her funeral, and it was just unbelievable. And she was a lovely person. So we started off. We did the moonwalk. That's how it all started. That's how it started off.
It's to coin a phrase here. You've turned something quite sad and negative into something positive. Hashtag turn it into love. I think that's a great thing. And I know it's something that you enjoy doing now. And it's very much a big part of your life. You even performed at the event, I gather, in front of like 15,000 people.
That was last year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did. Well, they have, it's a fantastic event. I mean, it is. It's fantastic. And I think they have got the biggest marquee I've ever seen in all my life. And it's 15,000 people in there. And last year, they have a theme every year. And last year, they had a disco theme. So, but my partner, Becky, she really, she's the one that set the whole Jane Bow thing up. But because of the company she works for, she knows people that, last year we had was it last year? I think it was. Last year we had, last 2 years, we've had the lights on the London Eye.
Yes.
She has connections. And all it boils down to is it's that phrase: if you don't ask, you don't get. So she asked, and they said, "Of course we will."
Totally agree with you. Sometimes it just needs a phone call, and it can be so obliging.
So,
the moonwalk is a brilliant event. I know it's championed by the likes of Jennifer Saunders, Harriet Thorpe. I know you're a Holby City and Casualty fan.
Oh, darling, yes, big.
Huge. I think it's just a wonderful event. So I would say thank you again for taking part in that because.
Oh no! I mean, I sang there. I sang for them last year, and I had a ball. It was fantastic. It was really good. And the people that run it, Nina and the gang, they're such nice people. Again, just lovely, lovely people working hard for a good cause.
Well, as I said at the start, I've got a couple of questions which have been sent to me by people. So the first question is from Grant in Manchester. Okay. Mm-hmm. And he'd like to know, what's something you've learned about yourself during the last couple of months of lockdown?
That I could become a recluse. Well, you know what? For me, lockdown, my days are sort of fairly similar to what I have anyway. I mean, I apart from the fact that I can't go out and do my shows, but I'm here through the week and I'm doing stuff that I'm probably doing a bit more of it. But we're very structured. I'm a very structured and routine person. So, you know, for me, it's sort of, it's been sort of reasonably easy. I guess we have to, you know, Becky and Stevie Dunn, we get on fantastically. Maybe I think my patience is becoming a bit better with certain things. I can't think of anything else that really that I just apart from that I want people to distance from me. I want my space.
Yes.
And we are staying in lockdown, by the way. But no, I think that's it really. I can't think of anything else. I think I've been lucky, you know, because we live in a sort of little bubble. We're sort of okay here.
Very much a case of counting our blessings where we can, isn't it?
Well, exactly. Yeah, that's a good thing to say.
Okay. The next question comes from the writer and producer Russell T Davis.
Oh yeah.
Who most people know from Queer as Folk, Doctor Who, years and years. And he'd like to know, which childhood friends do you regret losing touch with, and is it too late to go back?
That's quite interesting actually, because I did lose touch with a few friends, but you know what, I've been in contact with some of my old friends. I decided, not because of the coronavirus, but a couple of years ago, I think especially as you get older, you think, oh, I had such a great time, you know, when we were teenagers or whatever. And when I first started work, one of my friends that I had now lives in Canada. We are emailing each other now. I've got another friend of mine called Beverly, who, although we didn't go to the same school, but I knew her around my teenage years. There was another girl, another friend called Leslie, who unfortunately passed away last year with cancer. That was very sad, going to that funeral, because I guess that's the first time that I've been to an old friend's funeral, really. But we're in contact again now. And then a dear old friend of mine from when I was younger, called Susan, we're in contact again now. So I'm actually doing that now, getting in contact with old friends from school. Are you talking about school days, those sort of times?
Assuming so, yes.
Yeah, I'm in contact with quite a few of my old friends that meant a lot to me. So I'm kind of doing that. I was kind of doing that anyway, but I think as you get older, you do. I mean, sometimes at night when I can't sleep, I do what I call my trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
And I do think about these people, and I think, oh, I wonder how they are. And I did have dinner with my friend Leslie and Beverly, about a couple of years ago. One Christmas, we all went out to dinner, and you know what? It was fantastic. And it was almost like nothing. We looked older, but nothing had changed. We were laughing. I always had great fun with them, and yeah. So I'm doing that anyway.
That's good. I meet up with my school friends every year at Doncaster Pride. They always,
yeah.
And I am sorely missing that this year, which is a shame.
Yeah.
But I'll have to make plans and go up and visit them again some other time, I think.
Yeah.
I'm finishing each round of interviews with my friends, like yourself, with the same questions. I don't know if you ever saw a TV show called In the Actor's Studio with James Lipton, but he used to do the same thing. So I've stolen some of his questions.
Ooh, okay.
So question number 1.
Mm-hmm.
What's your all-time favourite song that's not your own?
Well, I'm going to say Evergreen. I don't sing. Because it's not my song, is it?
It's borrowed. You're allowed it. It's fine.
All right, thanks.
What would be your least favourite song?
That I sing?
That you get asked to sing?
It's got to be Maybe.
I like that. It's not easy questions, are they? What is your favourite sound?
My favourite sound?
Mm-hmm.
God, that's a tough one. Do you mean, is that musically or any kind of sound?
Any kind of sound. It could be the ice cream van. It could be your dog barking. What sound makes you smile?
God, that's a tough one. Well, I'm going to do a musical one. Can I do two?
Yes, absolutely.
One of the ones I love most is when I go up to my friend Pete Ware that I work with, all my Energized stuff. I mean, I've known Pete Ware since 1983, and we've always done production work together and bits and pieces. But I always love that sound when I first go into the studio, and we're just sort of starting to set up. Because I'm an idea. When we were in the studio, I mean, I co-produced stuff with him, and he's like the keyboard player, and I always love it when I go in and I can hear the bare bones of, because I always tell him the song and I go, we just work out all the chords, or he does, before I arrive. So we've got a structure, you know, and the chords are down, a basic thing. But I love that because I've got all these ideas in my head that where we're going to go and what we're going to do with it. I always love that, and I get really excited at that. So that's a favourite sound. And the other sound that really, I guess, would be Stevie.
Yes.
When she's all happy and Stevie's loving the lockdown. She loves being at home.
Oh, I can imagine she is.
Yeah, and she's been so good with her schoolwork, and I love it over this period of time. I just love it when I hear her. She's all happy and she's done her work, and she's just such a good girl. She's such a good kid.
I have to say, having met Stevie a couple of times, and I know she, again, loves Holby City and Casualty. And
she does.
The drag queen as well, doesn't she?
Oh, yes. She loves the drag queen.
She's obsessed with the drag race.
Darling. Yeah, exactly.
Bless her. The opposite of that, what sound do you hate?
Ooh. It's weird questions. What sound do I hate? I hate the sound of
crying babies. I loathe the sound of crying babies.
You?
And I hate unanswered phone calls. The phone's just ringing. Drives me insane.
I hate people that sing out of tune. That drives me crazy.
My apologies.
No, I've never heard you sing out of tune. If you're looking, don't worry, you're fine. That sort of annoys me because that's like number one rule. If you sing out of tune, it's not going to happen, is it? Well, live anyway. That's a sound that I probably don't like. And the other, I think an alarm clock in the morning is another sound I don't really like.
I can equate to that. If you could duet with any other person, alive or dead, who would it be?
Diana Ross.
Oh, wonderful. I just downloaded her new album at the weekend.
Oh, is it good?
Oh, yes, loving it. Some really good remixes on there. I think you'd appreciate.
All remixes of her hits and things.
Songs, yes. Very good. I highly recommend.
Right, I love that.
Your last question.
Yes.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Oh my goodness. I'd like him to say that that I've been a good person, and I'd like him to say that I worked hard, and I'd like him to think that I was an honest person.
Good.
And then he'll let me through the pearly gates.
Marvellous. And I believe at this stage you have crafted a question for me.
Well, it's a two-part question.
Oh, marvellous.
Okay, so after you'd asked for me to ask you questions, I discussed it last night with my family, and we have two questions for you.
Wonderful.
So, number one is RuPaul's Drag Race has brought drag to the attention of the masses, and in particular, kids and young people. What is your opinion of RuPaul's Drag Race?
Okay, my opinion has evolved over the years. Absolutely, I think it's brilliant because not only is Ru bringing drag to the front and showing people alternative lifestyles, it's everything else that goes with it. So Ru is bringing people into everyone's homes who identify as gay, as trans. The celebrity versions have brought straight men and straight women into it, and I have loved the celebrity versions so
Yeah. Yeah.
adored them. So I think it's brought drag into a new realm. At the
Yeah.
same time, it has kind of, on the negative side of things, I have been a drag act now for, dare I say, 25 years. And it's not easy. People think you can walk on stage, lip sync to a routine and walk off with a great look. You get gigs where you have to do 2 45-minute spots, either side of a raffle and a game of bingo in a working men's club in the middle of nowhere. And if you can do that, then you can do a drag show. You can walk on stage like yourself in front of 30,000 people at a Pride event, backing tracks fail, and you have to deal. You have to go to the spot.
Yeah.
There are many talents to be in a drag act, and I think RuPaul has brought the start of that to it.
Yeah.
But as I remind people, there have been drag acts for a long time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Savage, Daniel LaRue, we mentioned Divine, all different aspects of drag. And drag in the UK is different to drag in the States. Which is, so I think you've got to look at drag as an art form.
Mm-hmm.
And some people like Picasso, some people like a Turner. There's nothing wrong, nothing to say that one is better or worse than the other. It's just how you interpret it.
Absolutely.
On the whole, I applaud Mama Ru. I just wish she hadn't worn a mask for the last 2 episodes.
Really? Okay, I haven't seen those. Okay, our question number 2. I have worked with drag queens all over the world, and there's always been a difference between the UK and the American drag queens, which is, we know that. Recently, we have become friends with RuPaul All-Star Morgan McMichaels, who we have been chatting with on Zoom, particularly about the racism in America. He says it is a drag queen's role to be an activist, to speak out when others are afraid, and to look after others. A drag queen is the mother of the gay community. What is your opinion?
I totally agree.
Yeah, see, I agree with that. Because when I go to do prides, this is the gospel truth, the first person I look for is a drag queen, because I know the drag queen will look after me.
Yes, I think it is our job to have that sort of maternal role to play within our community. I'm very honoured to be a part of Pride Cymru. I am now a patron of Pride Cymru.
Yeah, well, and you do a fantastic job, Danny. You really do.
I like to think that I can help. I like to think that I can influence. And if that influence is just bringing a bit of joy to someone's life, then that's great. But you've seen me on Facebook, you've seen me on Twitter. I can be very, very vocal. At the time of recording, there is a massive incident happening over in the States where it's Black Lives Matter. It has helped me, for want of a better term, check myself and appreciate the fact that I do have white privilege. And I hope that using my voice will help others to understand the needs of those that maybe I don't understand.
Yeah.
I can walk around Tesco without being followed by a security guard. I can't say that for all of my friends.
No, absolutely.
And I think if I can use my voice to help others, if I can help others come to terms with who they are themselves, if someone wants to come out, then that's fine. Absolutely, I'll be a voice, and I hope I will help others to be who they are.
Yeah, well, I know you do, so that goes without saying, my darling.
It's a big, big world out there. I'm part of a rainbow tapestry. If I can help somebody else sew their own part of that tapestry, then albeit great for it.
Yeah, that's a lovely thing to be.
Thank you for your questions, and thanks to Becky and Steve as well for chucking that in. Quick question. I realise that everybody's plans are up in the air at the moment because of lockdown. Do you know what's next for Hazell?
Well, all the sort of festivals and prides that I had this year, most of them have been postponed until next year. And I probably won't sing live anymore until next year, because I'm very paranoid about singing live on a stage with a huge audience facing me.
I totally understand.
Yeah, so yeah, so hopefully everything's been postponed to next year. So I'm hoping and praying they'll come up with a vaccine at some point. And I'm just treading very carefully, darling. But I mean, there are other little projects in the air, sort of recording wise, with some tracks that I might put on Energize. And then there's another project further down the line with Cherry Pop, who put my Heart First album, which went to 27 in the official album charts. So I was that was great. So there are little things happening, but live at the moment is, well, obviously it's a no-no.
Well, just for you and the other ladies in your household, I'd just like to put my mask on. In the style of Valentina, I'd like to keep it on, please.
Yeah, brilliant.
Thank you to my friend at Binge Designs for that. Hazell, thank you so much for being part of today's chat. I hope you did.
Darling, I'm honoured that you asked me. It's always a pleasure with you, my love.
So thank you very much.
I love you very much.
Yeah. I'll see you again, hopefully very, very soon. Goodbye for now.
Yeah, take care.
Bye.